Okay, good evening, everybody. You should be live with us right now. I'm just going to do a quick check and just make sure that everything is working as it should be, because last week we had a bit of fun trying to get this live broadcast into the group, and it looks like it might be doing that again. So I'm just making 100% sure that it isn't. Looks like, yeah, looks like I'm maybe doing the same thing again. Okay, what I'll do, let me just share the link then, see if I can promote this. Green button. Okay. It doesn't look like we're going to have much luck with Facebook. I might just have to reshare the link afterwards. But it is what it is. Don't just love technology. So, guys, welcome to another live with me tonight. I'm going to just jump straight into this because I'm really excited about our guest tonight. The person I'm going to be introducing is a good friend of mine. I've known now for it must be a good couple of years already, which is just crazy how time flies. Because it seems like just yesterday that we met. And yeah, what can I say about him? Well, I think the best way I can introduce him, the only way I can really introduce him, is as the man, the myth, the legend, aka Mr. the Fresh Prince of Chili Sauce. He goes by a lot of different names, but I know him as the wonderful Hardev Sahota. So, Hardev, how are you this evening?
I am absolutely amazingly brilliant, and I'm so delighted to be with you on this podcast. This is the first one I'm doing ever in my life, and so it's really sort of like
Wow.
yeah, Fresh Prince. I mean, it was hilarious. It was hilarious.
I tell you what, you're a man who embodies boldness. I must say, you just got this great humorous streak to you, and I love it. I think it's fascinating, and for those I trust to find out soon enough. I'll share some of the links maybe for his stuff with his permission. But yeah, Hardef has done some amazing promotions for his business, which I'll get him to tell you all about in just a sec. But yeah, no, I tell you what, uh, he's a guy who is not shy, not embarrassed to get in front of the camera, and I mean, the production quality of what you do as well is in my opinion, I think you pull out all the stops. I don't know how you did it, but the videos I've
no,
seen
for,
look really authentic.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm obviously, from an Indian origin. For me to sing Bollywood songs is like normal because I grew up watching Bollywood movies. And
Oh
when my
yeah,
son said, I've got to send these lyrics, which are based on an English tune and English lyric, and I was saying, what? How am I going to do that? And it was just, the studio recording was like take after take because I didn't just, but anyway, it was fun doing it. And I think the filming was obviously a quite enjoyable part of it. But anyway, in the end, everything got together very nicely, and just very delighted with the impact for our brand. And I mean, that was the whole idea about what my son created. So yeah, really pleased about
wow, wow. Well, why don't we put people out of the misery and explain what we're actually talking about? Because there'll be people who have never encountered you before, and so I know you as the face of Mr. Singh's crisps. And yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit more about them and how what they are, how they came about, and what's sort of going on with them, really?
Well, I mean, the crisps were really like an extension of what we had actually originally started with. I mean, I just loved hot food and hot flavors, and we have got a big family, and there was always some event going on. And my passion, coming from East Africa, Kenya, was to do barbecues and making kebabs and all that. And with that, always was a a sauce was like an essential item with it.
Mm.
And every time I did barbecues, I would go and check, to Tesco's or Sainsbury's and say, I've tried that. And I just tried all them, but I couldn't find anything that was like tasty for me.
Hmm.
And just once, I don't know why, but I just decided to make a chili sauce. I made a chili sauce, which I absolutely said, wow, this is amazing chili sauce. It was like tasty and then bang, chili heat in the end of it was so delicious. And that just basically started the business, and a lot of exposure in media, and we were lucky enough to be a part of the BBC uh, documentary called High Street Dreams. We were selected out of so many people, and we were
Wow.
actually in literally like Tesco, Sainsbury's, Asda, the whole past, coming from like a normal family, middle, from East London into this business was a new venture for my son, and it wasn't as easy as we had thought. And
Hmm.
so, there were a lot of promises made by the bigger companies. We will deliver that, we'll deliver that, and nothing really happened. And the business then really came down after a few years. And suddenly thought, right, okay, what I do, because obviously with the chili sauces, the investment cost for production is very high, and then it takes such a
Hmm.
long time to sell it to get the return back. And then we looked at the Quest market, and we tried the sweet Thai chili, and chili from Sensations. And when we tasted that, we said, well, hang on a minute, for people who like chili, there's no chili in it. And we said,
Hmm.
hang on a minute, the chili is our field. This is what we love doing. And so my son said, why don't you make a recipe? And I made a recipe for that, and we made the first flavor was chili crisp, and this is like a flavor which I've enjoyed being in Kenya. In Kenya they make these cassava chips on charcoal, and chili and lemon and that flavor was so beautiful. And and we made the crisp, and in
Wow.
2017 we launched the first flavor, and it was a success. Boom! People in the
Wow.
pubs loved it. It had the that the chili heat people love wanted with the crisp, because as I said, the sensation and other brands just with chili, there was no chili in it for me or anybody, for people who love chili, there was no chili in it. So
Mm.
that became a and then obviously and the people in the pubs were really loving it, because people who love chili, they were obviously drinking more beer because it was hot, so drinking more beer and having more chips as well.
Yeah.
So that cycle for the people, and they were saying, "Come on, bring some more and more." And so it was really, really great. And we did that for about a year, and then my son has obviously become vegan, and then he decided, okay, that we need to bring some vegan flavored crepes. So
Okay.
we thought about the chicken spicy tandoori chicken flavor and the chili cheese and onion flavor. Being free
Hmm.
vegan, they couldn't eat that, and so we made those two. But and when they were ready to be launched, we were hit by COVID at that time. So that was
Mm.
like in 2022, 21, it was just COVID hit, and we just had the whole range just developed, and so we had to put a hold on that. And eventually, obviously after a while, then, we started marketing that, and that was a really, really good success. And, it was, we had a website, we were selling on Amazon, we were on Shopify
Wow.
store and hubs. And so, the business was running again. But I think, uh, again, for my son who was running by himself, he has got other business. He just couldn't cope with all that, and he just slowed down a little bit. And then obviously, I think for this year again, they said, like, look, we will. And my other son, who was working somewhere else, he also decided that look, we just need to bring this back up again, and that's where we are right now. So, and then obviously we had a big hoo-ha with the HSBC Bank. They had money that was taken away. They wouldn't give it back to us. That was funded by the investors, and so things like that were happening. But now we are very fortunate that it's all back again, and there's a list going on by my boys.
Yeah.
That it's all things within the next month or so. I think they're planning next month. the launch date.
Mhm.
So I'm not too sure what exact date it is, but that's when the and we are I think we are also developing a new flavor which is supposed to be secret, but should be coming out soon. So
Okay,
that's
okay. I'm on tenter. I'm looking forward to discovering what that will be. Oh my
yeah,
gosh, yeah. I'll tell you what, I think I said to you the other week when I was speaking to you, my favorite flavor was the special twist on the cheese and onion that you do. And
yeah,
that was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. I mean, to be fair, I've tried all the different ones he had, including the all famous hot chip challenge, which was your Carolina Reaper hottest. I think it was like the hottest crisp in England, if not the
I
world.
know, that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, and I remember trying that, and I must say, it's a it was a fun challenge to do, and
Yeah.
I even took it out, and my eldest son joined me in it, and I even got my pastor to try it at one stage, which was pretty funny,
Yeah,
and yeah, it sort of blew his head off, that's for sure. But no, they were absolutely amazing. Um, And so obviously, I'm really excited that they're coming back, and I think what would be really good to really delve into. Obviously, you shared a little bit of the background about that, but what was it that really got you into the world of business? Because you say obviously well, previously you're out in Kenya, you have this love for cooking and this love for flavor. Well, was that what really sort of led you into this, or have you had other sort of businesses in the past? What were you doing?
no, no, no. I had no businesses. I mean, no, we never had any. I was actually I qualified as a product designer. I did, and after that, I couldn't get a job, and then I became a teacher, and I was teaching in secondary schools and
Mhm,
in colleges.
mhm,
And because of this, at that time, we used to go to over like local Asian clubs, where we used to go and have some, drinks and have some food there. And people started stopped making food, and then they said, "Well, why don't you do it?" And I had love for cooking anyway, so I used to just go and after my teaching in the evenings, I would go and work in a kitchen there in a restaurant, create like a restaurant and a bar, and that's how it started. And my chili sauce became very famous along with the food I was making, and that's how people, after a while, people said, "Why don't you bottle it? Why don't bottle?" I said, "Why you want to bottle it? You can sell it." I said, "Really?" So that's how
mhm,
the journey began, and how the business actually, or the brand came into existence. So I had never thought of sort of like setting up a business or anything. It was just part of the journey, I think.
amazing. That is absolutely amazing. It's crazy how these kind of things. So some of these ideas they just grow so organically, don't they? And
Yeah,
you never sort of go into it thinking, right, I'm going to be
yeah,
starting this, but
yeah,
actually you realize that you've got something special there, and you can actually take it and
yeah,
grow it. So no, that's amazing. Now, obviously we've spoken about obviously the challenges that you had in business, and one of the reasons why I really wanted to bring you onto here was because when we spoke last week, I believe it was, we were talking a lot about health and about the importance of actually investing in yourself,
mm,
because obviously that's one of my passions. That's one of the things that I to make an attempt to do. I've obviously had issues with my health, my physical weight. I'm on a process at the moment where I'm working on that, and I've got a coach and mentor and guide who's helping me through that, so that I can get on top of it. Um, but I keep on talking with people, and obviously we discussed about the importance of yourself and your health as your number one investment, because
yeah,
you can't if you're not performing at your best, you can't be at your best for your business or for your family, for your dependents, for your customers. And
absolutely.
then you sort of shared a bit of your journey. So can you just tell me a little bit about yeah, essentially what have you done with your health? Where were you a few years ago? And in fact, let's start with that. Where were you a few years ago with your health, and then I'll deep dive into it as you as you answer.
Yeah. Basically, like, our family in general, my dad, my brother, it's like a drinks. It was
Mhm.
every weekend, whatever, it was like drinks, and eat and all that. And after the marriage, and again, as I said, because of the barbecues, the family circle, it was always socializing. And you know let it go for another, like, that continued for about 20, 30 years. And it was like 40s and 50s, and I had like grown to a size like huge. I mean,
Okay.
what I'm now is nothing compared to what I had grown up to. And then it had come to the point where, and it was not only just the size of me, it was just like my
Mm.
general attitude towards my 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 the impact it had on my children, who are now, before, it was they were little boys, but they were grown, they were all growing now, they were now adults. And they were married. And it was just like, you know the I began to feel that I had lost my respect. I had no
Mhm.
respect for me. I think the reason I had become big was because I had lost respect within myself. Me personally, thinking about myself, I was always about, oh, how I'm going to enjoy myself, being very selfish in nature, not caring about anybody else. If you find that balance all over, just carry on. Just that's acceptable. That's fine. That kind of mental attitude was a disaster for me. And then I think there was also the doctors were saying, you've got a high blood pressure, you're becoming type 2 diabetic. And
Wow.
and you lose your heart. And and so all those things. And they began to and then obviously also seeing as and I think this is like the last maybe years now, that I started making the changes. And the first change, obviously, I wanted to do was to stop drinking, because that was my biggest problem. That was a huge
Mhm.
problem for me. Because and you know it, I remember the day I had like a 2 or 3 day binge drink. Literally, I was flat out for 2 or 3 days, just knocking myself out. And I was sitting in the hospital, and like shivering, sitting there in the A&E. And the
Wow.
doctors, sort of like putting liquids and all the electrolytes just to stabilize the body. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm thinking, what am I doing? What is this? This is not what life should be. And when all those things start coming into my mind. And it was just that time that I decided, this is enough. This is not what I
Mm.
want to do. I just decided to change from that day onwards. And started doing the things. And yeah, yeah, and the journey of like transformation started on from that day onwards.
Wow. And was it obviously you say you decided on that day to make the change? Well, was it as simple as just a decision to say, right, I'm not going to be doing this anymore? Because for a lot of people that who are struggling with things like that, so like with me with my weight, it's one of those recurring battles. So was it just that like a one-off decision? You're like, that's it, I'm hitting the hard.
One that was one of the things, but the other thing I think mainly was that I had, as I said, the respect I had lost in my children's eyes. I had no respect. And it was coming to the point where I was told by my children that if you are going to be in a drunk state, we don't want to see your children. You can't pick them up, you can't see them. And to me that was painful. That
Mm.
was like I couldn't, because I love them so much. And that's when I decided, no, this is not worth it for what I've got. God has given me in terms of grandkids. And then to have this one is not worth it. And that's when I think that
Mm.
was more or less the main trigger point, which I said, no, I don't need it.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's incredible, and obviously that started you on this journey then, and so you were talking with me that you had this revelation a little bit about the importance of taking care of yourself. Obviously you'd been confronted with a situation where you'd been in hospital. I can't imagine what it would have been like to have that situation with the kids, and the motivation I suppose that must
Yeah,
have given you to go through that. Um, yeah. So what did you start doing different then? Because obviously you made your decision. How did you then work that out? How did you then start actually
I
sort of
think
doing that?
I was really. I mean, obviously, the first few days after I had stopped, I was on medication. I was taking sleeping pills just to stabilize the body. So it took me a couple of weeks to before the natural sleep pattern actually came into it. But I mean, those were the most painful days of my life. Which were
Mhm.
obviously quite. But I think what um, made me understand. I was still struggling to because I had the thing that I wasn't able to do was you know um, to understand the thoughts that were always coming into your mind. Have a drink, go, it's okay, it's only Friday night, go,
Mm.
let's just have a little bit and all. And to deal with that was the biggest stress. I mean,
Yeah,
it still is the biggest struggle in my life, but I think I've become quite good at. But I think that's where I began to by 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 watching a lot of videos, I began to understand how the whole thing works, and that helped me to control my desire to drink. And then obviously my weight was, as I said, biggest problem. And I think the first thing which I learned was I don't know whether you heard about the ketogenic diet, the ketosis. Do you know about ketosis,
mhm.
ketogenic?
Yep,
So I
yep,
did,
I have.
I
Yeah.
went, yeah. So I went on a keto diet for about few months or whatever, and that change helped me a lot in terms of losing my weight. I lost a lot of weight during that time as well. But obviously, with that diet is quite limited because your food intake is very restricted in terms of what you can eat and all that, and to manage it. And there was always that yo-yo effect going on all the time, and I think it was like last year uh, and I again just reading, watching videos on podcasts, and that walking is the best exercise.
Mm.
That Walking every day is the best exercise for fat loss. And I think, and I was watching one of the I've forgotten his name, and I think the I learned was that our most people, the reason why they are not able to lose weight in is because number one is they don't do it consistently long enough.
Hmm.
You try to do it maybe 2 3, you don't see much results or whatever, and you give up and you say no, it's not working. And that is the biggest mistake. But I don't know how I did it, but I think it was like May last year. Yeah, May last year. I would go every day, 7 o'clock till 9 o'clock. I would walk every day, and I did that for May, June, July, August, for 3 or 4 months. Every day I used to do it, and at the same time, I think with boss is what I because if you're going on a walk for an hour and a half or 2 hours, what do? You listen to podcasts. So that's what I was doing. We were listening to podcasts all the time, and obviously learn. And one of I think the big the one of the things which I think we need to understand is that somehow we have set, or most people have this mindset that you know get up in the morning, have breakfast, hours later have
Hmm.
lunch, 3 hours later have dinner. Were you hungry? Don't know. That's the biggest problem. You know, we are
Mm.
so much geared into this mindset that they say it's a breakfast, it's a breaking your fast. Yeah, I know it's breaking your fast, but are you hungry? No. Why are you eating? Don't eat. And people have this funny idea that if they don't eat something, but nothing's gonna happen. Our bodies are not stupid. Our
Mm.
bodies have been surviving for so many millions of years. They know exactly what to do in different situations. People think, oh, it's gonna burn my muscles. No, it's not gonna burn your muscles. If it's got fat there, why would it burn your muscles? It knows what to do. Don't so our bodies know exactly what to do. You have to give it a chance to do something. So I basically, literally, even nowadays, my first basic rule is till I'm hungry. That's it. Simple. And so my
Mhm.
meal is probably like maybe 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And the other thing, I was reading one book, Dr. William Lee's book, and he was basically saying is that the food you eat is your medicine.
Mhm.
You have the food type of different type of variety of foods, which will stimulate your microbiome, which will increase your immunity, and it will control everything else in the body. If you can control that, if you can have that, then you don't need anything else because and so that's what I started doing. I would have like mixture of different types of foods. I don't eat that much meat or chicken, or maybe once a week maybe I might eat, but I just have limited amount of food. And because we are not doing that much activity throughout the day anyway, so why are we eating so much? So all those
Yeah.
things, I think and then and then the third thing, which is the most is sleep. You need to have that good 7 to 8 hours of sleep every day, because that's
Yeah.
when your body is now you know doing all it needs to do. And I don't know whether you heard about the word called autophagy. Autophagy is a process where the body rejuvenates the cells, the broken cells.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But if you're eating three
Mhm.
days, 3 times a day, the body doesn't have a chance to do that. So if you're doing like one meal a day, so if you have a meal at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, that is o'clock. After 7 to next day 3 o'clock, the body has all that time to do all the repairs, anything changes, and your skin, whatever it needs to do. It's so complicated. I mean, we can't understand. I mean, I can't understand, but I know how it works. So it gets a chance to
Yeah.
repair. Does all the things needs to do, and it works. And it is fantastic.
Mhm.
It is a brilliant machine. But you got to give it the chance to do it. So that's
Yeah.
how and then now coming to the point of where my the mind for
Ooh, we've just lost you there, Hardev. I don't know if you can hear me. Ah. Oop. Okay. We've just lost Hardev for 1 second. It's going to be working on getting him back. But yeah, while he was talking there, I think one thing that I've been reading a lot about is some of these sort of mindsets that we have. And I think he was touching upon that. Ah, there we go. We've got it back.
okay
I,
okay
I was, I was just sharing that these mindsets that you're talking about, they're actually it's really true. We tend to get into very fixed mindsets that become that come out of habit or tradition almost. And
yeah
this is true in life and in business. Often we do things the way we do things because that's the way we've always done things.
yeah
And so it's really important to open ourselves up to these kind of or to these new and not necessarily new but just different ways of thinking because what we learn as we explore that is actually uh, there's a lot that we can miss by following the same pattern. And there's a famous quote. I can't remember who it was who said it, but they say, if you do the same thing you always did, you get what you always got.
yeah
And this is so true. I think with what you're saying about the sort of weight loss, the how we treat our bodies. but also, again, how we do things in life and business more generally. We always have to be willing to sort of push those barriers, step out of that comfort zone, and do those things which will actually help. And whilst you were talking there, I was just thinking, you know, you were describing this sort of process of the change, and how did that impact you in terms of what you're doing with your business? How did it impact you? And in fact, how did you sustain that throughout things like COVID, which made I was doing really well pre-COVID, and then COVID sort of came in and derailed everything. So, how did you find that sort of period?
Um, I mean, as I said, my the whole thing was, the COVID was allowed me obviously to learn a lot about myself and the walks and all that. But I think at the moment I really wouldn't want to share about this mind thing, because I think this is really really something which whoever is listening, it would help them quite a lot. If I mean, and it's going away from your question, and
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I think from what I have now understood is that um, that majority of people, they believe that whatever the mind is thinking, or whatever the thoughts are coming in our mind, that's who they are.
mm,
So in other words, we are like a robot. We are listening to the thoughts, and the thought is saying do that, and we do it. and
hmm
and that generally tends to be the attitude of the majority of the people, is to, and including me. That's how I was. Mind is saying, yeah, do that, and like the drinking was the same thing. Drink, that's good. There was no questions being asked, and it's only, and then and it became to me to a point where I was really getting, you know, not necessarily frustrated, but I was curious. Why do we get these thoughts? And why do we get these type of thoughts? What happens? Why do they come up every day? What is the reason behind it? And I wanted to know that, and I started digging into it, and as I say again, podcast, reading books and stuff like that. And what I actually understood is that, um, so basically, when we are born, we are like a blank hard disk. There's nothing on our
mm,
subconscious mind. It's blank. And the moment we open our eyes, information is coming through our five senses. We know what
mm,
they are. So information comes in and is being stored, and all that experiences that we are experiencing during our growth are triggering different types of emotions. So those emotions are like, the foundations of those emotions are being built up. And as we grow older and older, those different experiences strengthens emotions and everything, and they become pillars. They become pillars of
mm,
different emotions. So then we got a variety of experiences. And so, and about our the RAS, which is reticular activation system, the RAS. So that is the filter which actually, so whenever there is something we see outside, it triggers our RAS, and the RAS says, right, okay, I've seen this before. This is what happened at that time. So that's the thought. Let's project this thought, and the thought comes up, and then we say, and the interesting part is that is how the mind works. That's the job of the mind. Our mind has got nothing else to do but to pick up things from the subconscious mind, which is the past experiences of our joyful time, whatever, this, that, and the other, and then project into our screen. These are like cookies coming onto our screen every day, and we have
mm-hmm,
to click. And and the moment we consciously click on them and connect with them, we engage with these thoughts, and we decide saying, have a drink, or don't. Uh, let's forget doing the walk today. Just sit down. It's nice and warm day. It's raining outside. Why you want to do it? And you say, your conscience says, well, I'm really, I want to get to do this. Yeah, but give it another day. So, and then you say, right, okay, fine, I'll do it. And boom, the mind has overpowered you and made you do something you didn't want to do. You wanted to do, but you didn't do it, and you listened to it, and that's it. That's what happens. To me, that's how I
Mm.
understand. That's how
Yeah.
exactly every time we make decisions is we are consciously connecting with these thoughts. And the idea which I have, or what I have learned now, is that I know that my conscious is what I have in control. That is the only thing I have. I haven't got no control about these thoughts. These thoughts are never
Mm.
gonna stop. The moment we wake up in the morning, the is gonna start up. But my conscious is in my control. I can either connect with it or just watch it, let it go. And the more I watch it and let it go, the more I have the conscious on one side doing what I want to do. It's like in the
Mm.
morning when I get up in the morning, and it's nice and warm, and I want to go to the gym. So I go to the gym in the morning, and the mind is saying maybe another 10 minutes, and you obviously your conscious is listening to it.
Hmm.
And that's when the conscious you say, no, I want to get up and I want to do it, and you just simply do it, because that is the crazy thing about this mind. And unless you can get that balance in your or the capability or the
Mm.
awareness, or have that control of your conscious, the mind is so brilliant in manipulating your thoughts in a certain way. It is genius. It will trigger this, that, and bring bits and pieces together from different aspects of your life, and make a particular scene more favorable of the comfort zone than what you want to, because you want to make a change and it doesn't want to do the change. There's
Mm.
no way it wants to do the change. It doesn't want to do that. And it will make all the stories, and as I said, it is genius in
Yeah.
making those stories, and it will convince you that this is what it is saying is the best thing for you to do, and you will agree. And this is I tell you, so fantastic when you learn about
Mm.
it and understand it. But as I say, and and you can't, and that's why a lot of people are unfortunately not able to, sort of, for example, now drink. For example, every day I get these thoughts. Oh, it's a Friday night. We used to have drink. I will just watch it. I will come and
Yeah.
go. Don't
Yeah.
consciousness is the key.
Yeah. You that's a really important thing you just shared there. It's something I've come across time and again, and I think we do underestimate the power of the subconscious mind, and obviously all the different influences and tricks that we have. And I know for as high high performers or people who are looking to really excel in different areas of life, this is some of the foundational work that we need to overcome help us to get to those goals. I mean, I read a lot, and I'm going to be asking you later about like a book recommendation of yours, because I have a little book club that I do, and this idea of mindset, these beliefs, they are one of the attributes that we have to work really hard on. We don't appreciate that limiting that we have these kind of beliefs that are what they call limiting beliefs that hold us back. And as you say, it will just be these things that happen in the subconscious mind that either um, you know thought patterns that we go into to say, I can't do this, or I wish I should, I know I should, but I'm just not feeling it. And part of that whole process of going through personal development is learning how to take those and reprogram, for lack of a better way of putting it, that
Yeah,
subconscious mind,
yeah,
as
yeah,
you overcome those limiting beliefs, and they
yeah,
can help you to you can replace them with new beliefs, help you to actually succeed in life. So it is very powerful. I'm very big believer in mindset, in all just in delving into it. I get fascinated by all the research surrounding it, because I think it's one of those topics that should be, to be honest, it should be taught more,
yeah,
because
absolutely, yeah, yeah,
we're all
of
victims
course.
to these mindset issues that we we don't even know are there. So yeah, obviously you've touched upon that. You touched upon mindset, and what's happened now? How are you feeling now that you're on this side of the journey? Because I know this has been quite a process for you. How have you seen your life change since you started uh, applying these new principles?
I think um, in terms of my overall health and everything. I mean, I tell you, I haven't felt so brilliant in the last, for the last couple of years. So thank God. I just feel amazing. I feel so fantastic because I think one thing which I have actually, understood is that there is a like what we call the circadian rhythm. The circadian
Hmm.
rhythm in our body, in our mind, in everything happens with when the sunlight hits our eyes, certain triggers, it triggers certain hormones and everything. There's a natural pathway which is been designed by nature, and if it works according to that natural pattern, uh, without any, you will have very little problems in your life. But we have destroyed that natural rhythm, in terms of like eating or habits, other indulging alcohol. So all that has been destroyed. So I think now for me, my natural pattern has come back, and literally every majority of the night, maybe like there is always one or two nights sometimes you don't sleep well, but I would say that 85-95% of the time I have a brilliant sleep, 8 hour brilliance, and in the morning I'm like alert. My mind, my eyes, my everything is like 110%. I've got energy. I can do what I want to do, and being able to understand how my mind works. If I have in my mind I want to do that, and it is much easier for me to do what I want to do now. If I want to go for a walk and it's raining outside, you know I don't listen. It takes a lot of time to understand. And one thing you mentioned about the reprogramming is the hardest bit, because what has already been programmed in our subconscious mind has been over like last 30, 40 years, and to unprogram that thing is
Yeah,
going to take a lot of time. So the best thing
yeah.
for what I've understood now is to just do what you need to do for the day to day, for hour what you have in
Mm.
mind, and just focus on that, and just let it be. Just focus on that. And as I said, so other than that, I most majority of my, as I say, my focus every day, first priority is gym, my walk in the evenings, good meal, and then whatever I need to do throughout the day, I just do it. That's simple as that. And I keep away from anything. Yeah, and obviously, meet other people, read books, listen to podcasts, and yeah. So I couldn't be happier, to tell you the truth. And it's really great. And having the respect from the family is really really marvelous now for
Oh
me.
yeah, yeah. That's got to be priceless. Absolutely
Yeah,
priceless. And
yeah.
yeah, no, I mean it's so good to hear. And I think sometimes again, this is the challenge that business professionals often have as well. Is that we often view success as just as something where we're looking to achieve financially. We're hitting certain
Mm,
milestones within our business, within our income and things like that. But actually, as you've touched upon, there's a really important aspect to success, which is your how you're actually feeling in life. Are you
mm,
feeling fulfilled? Are you not feeling fulfilled? Because to everybody, we all have different desires, different things that actually inspire us and that we want to achieve. And we don't all need to get to a stage of being multi-billionaires in order to be able to do that.
mm.
A lot of the time, because there are simple pleasures in life that we can actually start
Yeah,
to enjoy just by
absolutely.
making those conscious changes, as you say, just by living in the moment and choosing, as choosing to enjoy that experience day by day. And
Yeah.
so I think that's a really important aspect for anybody who's who is you know, like me, like yourself. We're in business. We're building businesses. It's important to keep
Mm,
hold of that and just to keep coming back to what's the purpose, what's the vehicle for. You know, and we don't. If we find ourselves in a situation where we are giving too much sort of focus on this and then losing sight of our ultimate goal, then that's when I think we need to take a sort of step back and reassess. And
mm,
I was actually, well, one of the podcasts I like listening to. I'm going to ask you about yours as well. I was listening to Diary of a CEO, which is the Stephen Bartlett podcast, and he has some fascinating guests on who come onto the show, and they share about all manner of topics. And one of my friends actually or introduced me to one of the episodes in particular, which just covers this, and it features one of the former Google chief business officers, a guy called Mo Gordas, and he was talking about how stress is the big pandemic that is
yeah.
you know, affecting everybody in the world now,
Mm,
much bigger than anything like COVID ever was. It's causing no end of problems, and he was giving some really practical bits of advice about how
mm,
we can overcome stress in our lives and deal with it, and you know, simple little things we can do to help limit those stresses and
mm,
triggers that will cause that response in us, so we're not actually burning ourselves out, but we're actually able to operate at that sort of peak level. So I know we're starting to run low on time, so I want to ask you about a couple of things first. So uh, first of all, you mentioned podcasts that you like listening to. So do you have any favorites? Because I love to glean from others who are treading the path ahead of me. So
yeah, I think one of the guys who really had a big impact and made me help understand the human mind was Eckhart Tolle. I don't know if you
okay,
heard of Eckhart Tolle, and that's the power of now, and that's what it is. Have you heard of his podcast?
I haven't actually the power of now.
Oh, yeah, power of now. Eckhart Tolle. That he's absolutely amazing. I love his podcast, and there's a lot of other type. But I think that's when what basically he is saying is that all we have is now. No, like
Wow.
this
Yeah.
is the crazy thing about our mind is that our mind is always our mind is always thinking about this that this that, but that is either he's thinking about the past or he's thinking about the future, but it
Yeah.
is never thinking about now. Like now we are talking, that
Wow.
is a reality. You have to understand what is reality. People think
Yeah.
reality is something. Reality is not something different. Reality is what is happening really now. We are talking on a podcast. This is the reality. And how should we feel about this now? This is how we are feeling, what we are feeling now, and talking to an enjoyable time. That is the power of now. If we are people have this idea that um, you know when they I mean from what I can relate to is about happiness, because I'm gonna go on a Friday or Saturday. I'm gonna meet my brother, and we're gonna have a go to the bar. We're gonna have a great time. And you are sitting here, either having a cup of tea, and you're thinking about that, but you don't even know that you're gonna live that long. So
Yeah.
how? So why even think of that?
Mm.
You know,
Yeah. Well, what a
it is now that is important.
yeah, that's so
Because
powerful.
that's
Uh,
that's that's how it is.
yeah.
And
No.
and what I've learned is that from all the people there is that that what happens outside, like the weather, people, what the wars
Mhm.
going on, what people, the politicians, what somebody says to you, or how a car driver has suddenly got in front of you and did something. We have
Mhm.
got no control of that. We have got absolutely no control of that. The only thing you've got control of is your mind.
Yeah.
You only
Yeah.
thing, if you can control that and make you feel the way you want to feel it, happy
Mm.
days.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
That's
that's
it.
so true. That's
It's
so
as
true.
simple as that. It is so simple,
Yeah,
you know.
you
And
know,
and
that,
and once you, as I said, once you understand how your mind is working and everything, and you know how to respond to it, then you are able to do that because you know how it's working and you can control it and say, no, I am having my cup of tea. I want to enjoy the taste of this cup of tea. I don't want to think about the program. I don't want to think about work. I just want to have my tea.
yeah,
That's it. Simple
yeah.
as that.
Just us engaging with the moment. That's powerful. It
Yeah.
actually reminds me. I was reading a book at the start of the year, a couple of books, and then they talk about a psychologist called Alfred Adler, and he came up with a whole different view of psychology compared to the mainstream Freudian views that exist. And he speaks in his book about the fact that the now, the present, is the only thing that actually exists. So
Exactly.
the
Mm.
past doesn't exist because the past is just a collection of memories,
Absolutely.
stories,
Yeah.
that the mind has this incredible ability to also mislead on, because we can look back, especially if we've been through difficult things in the past or good things in the past. We can look back at those events and remember them erroneously, because
Yeah.
the mind will store it erroneously, and it might
Yeah.
amplify a negative or amplify a positive even. And so the past as we know it doesn't actually exist. But then he also speaks about the fact that the future, it doesn't exist either, because the future is constantly being written by
Yeah.
every moment that's being lived. So
Yeah.
I think it's so true that we need to live in the now. We need to appreciate the moment we're in. We need to certainly when it comes to things, as I said, as we were talking about in terms of taking action in our lives.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
this is why now is the time. There's
Yeah.
no point deferring, because the truth is, we tomorrow isn't guaranteed. We know that there's no
Yeah.
guarantee saying I'll be around tomorrow, that I'll be able to do anything tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I need to make sure I make the most of today. But at the same time, you know uh, what you're talking about there, and just to just confirm, so that's the Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah.
Um, you know, it's that's process of just, you know, immersing yourself in the present, being present, because often we are in situations, you know, we might be in a meeting, but in our minds we're not actually in the meeting. Or I'd say we might be sitting down having a cup of tea, but in our minds we're wondering what we're everything
Absolutely. Yeah.
else. We're actually
Yeah.
just looking at the tea in front of
Yeah.
us, going,
Yeah.
you know, I'm really enjoying this. So I think
Yeah.
it's really, as a point, it's so good just to bring ourselves back and just to appreciate that. And in
Yeah.
doing that, then it can alleviate so much of that stress. Because quite often when we think about the future, we are worrying about things that haven't happened, may not even happen. I think they say
Absolutely.
like 97% of what we worry about is purely in our minds.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if we can learn to embrace the moment and just live in that, we can automatically free ourselves from so many of those worries.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you. That's an amazing podcast suggestion. I'm going to check that out, because that really feeds in lovely to what I was reading about this Adlerian psychology. The books that I was going through, they were called "The Courage to Be Disliked" and "The Courage to Be Happy." So
Okay.
if you ever want to take a look at those are the two books that speak about this, and it's
Sure.
they're really fascinating. And so as we come to the close, uh, the final question I really have for you is, what have there been any books now that have particularly influenced you, and if so, what book can you sort of
I think
recommend for our listeners?
I think one of the books that really helped me a lot was the Chimp Paradox.
Okay.
Yeah, the Chimp Paradox was really makes you understand about the monkey mind and the human mind, and it's a very good book. It really helps you. And the other one is this one which I'm reading right now is called
Mm-hmm.
this one, The Power of a Thought, The Power of One Thought. This is
One.
really amazing. Power of One Thought, yeah.
Okay.
And so this actually digs deep down into what I was talking about. What just the thought is the main key. Because that triggers everything else. The thought triggers the emotions. Emotion triggers your attitude. It takes your personality, makes your habits.
Mm,
Your character and your destiny. So it's a process. And once you begin to control your thoughts, you're in control of your life. And I think, the key is that you need to be, as I think you pointed out earlier, was happiness doesn't have to be something substantially big or huge. It can be just a small thing. If you can have those small happy moments throughout the day, that is much better than, you know anything else, for me anyway.
Yeah,
Just more
yeah,
happy
absolutely.
moments throughout the day I'd had a happy day. That's it. Tomorrow,
Yeah,
tomorrow doesn't exist for me.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's
exactly.
that's why. So my philosophy basically is, end of the night, thank you God, that was a fantastic day, I really enjoyed myself. uh See you tomorrow morning. If there is tomorrow morning, fine, another day, otherwise, thank you very much.
No, that's so true. And again, I think that's such a great way to look at life. It's great to have goals and it's great to have
Yeah,
things
of
that you're
course.
working towards, but it's really important to just be grateful for everything that we've already got along the way.
Yeah,
And you just reminded me of a quote by Lao Tzu,
yeah,
and it's on this. When you were sharing the title of the book, his quote is, "What your thoughts, they become your words. What your words, they become your actions. What your actions, they become your habits. What
yeah,
your habits, they become your character. What your
yeah,
character, it becomes your destiny." And it
absolutely.
just goes to show how everything, if you trace it all back, it goes back to the thought.
So exactly,
It all
absolutely,
starts with our thoughts. If you can watch
absolutely.
that, you can
Yeah,
take care of that,
yeah,
then everything else
yeah, yeah,
will
yeah,
follow. Everything else will
absolutely.
follow.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, I think that sort of brings us neatly to the end. Did you say at the beginning, when can I buy my next packet of Mr. Singh's crisps?
So you say it again.
I can't remember. Did you say at the beginning when I can buy my next packet of Mr.
Oh,
Singh's
they will
crisps?
be here soon. Don't worry about it. You'll get it delivered. You don't worry about it. This time
I'll
I'm
be
gonna
ordering
charge you
them.
for it.
I tell you what, I'm more than happy to buy them. I'll tell you.
Of course, of course. As soon as
Yeah,
as soon as they're available, we will be having them on Facebook or whatever. And yeah, it should be on. I think next month, June. I think that's what when there's been
that'll
planned
be
for that.
amazing. That'll be
Yeah,
amazing.
absolutely.
Mr. Sahota, thank you so much for coming along tonight. It's been a real pleasure talking with you. I think you've got a lot of wisdom that I'm really privileged to be able to sort of share in. And yeah, I just want to thank you so much for your time, and
Oh, no,
I hope you have a really good rest of your
yeah.
week.
Yeah, I think I want to thank you, Michael, because you made me come onto this podcast, which is really amazing. I've never thought I would actually be on a podcast, but it's it was quite enjoyable, and I really loved having a chat. And yeah, if anybody wants any help or chat, just send ask them to contact me, whatever. Love to chat to anybody and help them out. So yeah, thank you so much for your invitation. Cheers,
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure. You have a good evening, sir. Speak
and
soon.
you. Bye, bye, Michael.
Cheers. Bye. Bye. Well, guys, that brings us to the end of tonight's podcast. And I just want to again thank you for watching. If you've stayed with us for this long, thank you so much. There's a lot of exciting stuff going on, and I'm working on developing this whole channel, this whole vision into something that's going to really serve you. So I'm looking for businesses that I can feed into, that I can help advise. I've got a nice segment that I'm putting together that's going to be specifically targeting that and looking at ways to help you grow and scale them. And we're going to be doing a lot more work with the minute to win it segment as well. That's going to be coming back very soon. So yeah, please bear that in mind. Keep a lookout for all those things, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Get this in front of those who need to hear these messages. My passion in life is helping people, and this is just the start of that journey and what we're going to be doing. So thank you so much again for this evening, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week on the next one. Take care for now.